The air in the room was thick with anticipation as Isabella and Evelyn sat side by side on the antique couch in their late grandfather's living room. The lawyer, a somber figure in a well-tailored suit, cleared his throat before unfolding the document that would dictate the fate of the family's legacy. Isabella and Evelyn, thank you for joining us on this solemn occasion, the lawyer began, his voice carrying the weight of the moment. We are here to execute the last will and testament of Mr. Theodore Grayson. Isabella shifted nervously, stealing a glance at Evelyn, whose eyes betrayed a glimmer of excitement. The lawyer continued, to Isabella Grayson, our dear granddaughter, he bequeaths the house and land at 42 Willow Lane. Evelyn's eyes widened, and a smirk formed on her lips, as if she already knew the contents of the will. Isabella, on the other hand, felt a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. The lawyer continued, to Evelyn Grayson, the elder granddaughter, he bequeaths the sum of $20 million in cash. Evelyn's triumphant expression grew, and she couldn't resist a condescending glance toward Isabella. The lawyer folded the document and looked at the sisters. May this distribution honor the wishes of Mr. Theodore Grayson. As the lawyer concluded, Isabella felt a knot tighten in her stomach. She looked at her sister, hoping for some sign of empathy, but all she received was a dismissive eye roll. 20 million? You've got to be kidding me, Evelyn sneered, her voice dripping with arrogance. I guess you'll have a lovely little house to play house in, while I enjoy the lifestyle I deserve. Isabella, stung by Evelyn's words, managed to maintain her composure. Grandpa's wishes are his own, Evelyn. Let's respect them. Evelyn scoffed, respect? I'd rather respect the 20 million reasons why I'm better off. The tension in the room lingered as the lawyer collected his papers and excused himself. Isabella glanced around the room, filled with memories of a childhood spent with her grandparents. Little did she know that the events set in motion on this inheritance day would shape the course of her life in ways she couldn't yet fathom. The sun cast long shadows as Isabella and Evelyn exited the dimly lit lawyer's office, each carrying the weight of their newfound destinies. The uneven inheritance echoed through the corridors of the legal building like an unspoken divide, setting the tone for the days to come. In the brisk autumn air, Evelyn couldn't resist flaunting her fortune. 20 million, Isabella. I guess I can finally afford those diamonds I've been eyeing. Isabella, still processing the situation, replied with a hint of sarcasm, I'm sure the diamonds will keep you warm at night. The sisters made their way to a nearby cafe, a place that had been a sanctuary during their childhood visits to see their grandparents. Isabella chose a corner table, hoping for a moment of privacy amid the chaos of emotions. As they sat down, Evelyn continued her boastful tirade. Isabella, dear, you've got a quaint little house, and I've got the world at my feet. Grandpa knew who the real star of this family is. Isabella, stirring her coffee absent-mindedly, retorted, Grandpa wanted to honor each of us in his own way. Money doesn't define happiness, Evelyn. Evelyn's eyes rolled again, as if she found Isabella's perspective quaint. Happiness? Please. Happiness is sipping champagne on a private jet, not dusting off old furniture in some forgotten house. Their conversation was interrupted by the buzz of Isabella's phone. She glanced at the screen, and a faint smile appeared as she read a message from her boyfriend, James. Evelyn, noticing the change, couldn't resist a jibe. Ah, James, I suppose he's quite thrilled to be dating a millionaire now, Evelyn said, smirking. Isabella, defending her relationship, replied, James is with me for who I am, not what I inherit. Unlike some people. The sisters finished their coffee in strained silence, the unease between them growing palpable. As they parted ways outside the cafe, Evelyn couldn't resist a parting shot. Enjoy your little house, Isabella. I'll be living the grand life. Isabella, watching Evelyn walk away, whispered to herself, There's more to life than money, Evelyn. You'll learn that someday. Little did Isabella know that her words would soon be put to the test. revealing the true cost of wealth and the value of a simpler life. The days that followed the unequal inheritance found Isabella standing in front of her grandfather's house, the keys to her new life dangling from her fingertips. The once familiar creak of the front door greeted her as she stepped into the empty house, now hers to fill with memories. As Isabella explored the rooms, memories flooded back, the laughter of family gatherings, the warmth of her grandparents' love. Yet an emptiness lingered, a void that the house alone couldn't fill. She found herself standing in what used to be her grandparents' bedroom, staring at their framed photograph on the dresser. "I wish you were here, Grandpa," she whispered, her voice barely audible in the silent room. The following days were consumed by the task of cleaning and restoring the house. Isabella, armed with determination, scrubbed away layers of dust that had settled over the years. Each cleaned surface seemed to echo the emptiness she felt within. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Isabella sat on the porch, gazing at the stretch of land that now belonged to her. The cool breeze stirred the leaves, and a lone tear rolled down her cheek. A voice interrupted her solitude. "Isabella, why are you doing this? You could be living the high life with Evelyn right now," said James, her boyfriend, who had come to visit. Isabella, wiping away the tear, replied, "There's something here, something my grandfather left for me. I need to find it, understand why he chose to leave me this house." James, looking around skeptically, asked, "A house won't make you happy, Isa. We could be living in luxury. Evelyn is living the dream. It's not about luxury, James. It's about finding meaning, about discovering who I am beyond the material possessions," Isabella said, her gaze fixed on the horizon. James, frustrated, muttered, "You're always so sentimental, Isa. There's more to life than this." As he walked away, leaving Isabella alone on the porch, she felt the weight of her choices. The house, the land, they were more than mere assets. They were a legacy, a connection to a past that held the answers to her present emptiness. The night fell, and Isabella, surrounded by the echoes of her solitude, whispered to the stars, "Grandpa, guide me. Help me find the purpose you left for me in this house." Little did she know that her journey of self-discovery had only just begun. As Isabella delved into the restoration of her grandfather's house, Evelyn wasted no time indulging in the pleasures her inheritance afforded. The stark contrast between the sisters' lives became increasingly evident, magnifying the widening gap between their choices. Evelyn's social media became a canvas for flaunting her newfound wealth. Exotic vacations, designer shopping sprees, and glamorous events filled her posts, each picture a testament to a lifestyle seemingly unattainable for Isabella. One evening, Isabella scrolled through Evelyn's latest Instagram post, showcasing a luxurious yacht party. James, standing nearby, couldn't help but comment, "Looks like Evelyn is living the dream." Isabella sighed, her eyes fixed on the screen. "It's all so superficial. Is that really the dream?" James, rolling his eyes, replied, "Isa, you have an entire house and land, and she has 20 million. I think the dream is pretty clear." Isabella, closing the app, muttered, "It's not about the money, James. It's about finding purpose, about creating a life with meaning." Weeks passed, and Evelyn's extravagant lifestyle continued to escalate. Isabella, on the other hand, discovered solace in the simplicity of her grandfather's home. She had traded lavish parties for quiet evenings on the porch, the stars overhead providing a different kind of luxury. One day James, sporting an expensive suit, arrived at Isabella's door. "Evelyn's throwing a massive party this weekend. You should come, Isa, live a little." Isabella, standing amidst the echoes of her grandfather's memories, shook her head. "I appreciate the invite, James, but this is where I belong. There's more to life than the glitter and glam." James, frustrated, retorted, "You're missing out, Isa. Evelyn's life is exciting, vibrant. You're choosing mediocrity." As he left, Isabella pondered his words. The temptation of Evelyn's extravagant world lingered, but the whispers of her grandfather's legacy called her to something deeper. Evelyn's lifestyle choices, seemingly glamorous on the surface, masked a void that Isabella was determined to avoid. The stage was set for a clash of values, where the true worth of wealth would be unveiled, and Isabella's journey of self-discovery would face its greatest challenges. As Isabella embraced the simplicity of her grandfather's house, the shadows of betrayal cast a growing pall over Evelyn's extravagant world. The facade of wealth began to crumble, revealing the true cost of a life built on hollow foundations. One evening, Isabella received a distressed call from James. "Isa, we need to talk." "Meet me at our usual spot," he urged, his voice strained. Curiosity tinged with worry, Isabella rushed to the cafe where she and James had often shared quiet moments. James, visibly agitated, looked at her with guilt in his eyes. "Isabella, I need to confess something." Isabella, sensing the gravity of the situation, urged him to continue. "What's going on, James?" "I'm drowning in debt, Isa. Evelyn's spending is out of control. She's burning through that 20 million faster than we ever imagined," James admitted, his voice trembling. Isabella, shock etched on her face, felt a wave of betrayal wash over her. But she had it all: the money, the lifestyle. How could this happen? James, looking down, confessed, "She manipulated me, Isa. I thought I was in love, but it was all about the money for her. She used me to fund her extravagant life, and now we're both sinking." Isabella, grappling with the magnitude of Evelyn's deception, whispered, "I never thought she'd stoop this low. How did we miss it?" As the truth unraveled, Isabella confronted Evelyn, demanding an explanation. In a tense confrontation, Evelyn's mask crumbled, revealing a person consumed by greed. 20 million is nothing when you're living the high life, Isabella. "I deserve more," Evelyn spat, her eyes cold and unapologetic. Isabella, hurt and disillusioned, responded, "You betrayed us, Evelyn. Grandpa's legacy meant nothing to you." Evelyn, with a dismissive laugh, retorted, "Legacy? Please. I'll build my own legacy with or without that measly inheritance." Isabella, realizing the hollowness of Evelyn's words, made a decision to sever ties with the sister who had forsaken family for the illusion of wealth. The rift between them deepened, and Isabella, wounded but resolute, began to understand the true cost of Evelyn's betrayal. As the echoes of their confrontation reverberated, Isabella faced the daunting task of rebuilding her life, unburdened by the weight of a sister's deceit. The journey ahead would be challenging, but Isabella, armed with newfound strength, was determined to rise from the ashes of betrayal and discover the genuine wealth that lies within. The aftermath of Evelyn's betrayal left Isabella emotionally battered, but determined to cleanse her life of toxic influences. Chapter 6 unveils the pivotal moment when Isabella makes the difficult decision to cut ties with her sister. Isabella, her eyes swollen from tears, found herself standing in the doorway of Evelyn's opulent apartment. The air was thick with tension as she confronted her sister, whose demeanor had shifted from arrogance to feigned innocence. "Evelyn, we need to talk," Isabella stated, her voice steady but laced with disappointment. Evelyn, reclining on a designer couch, raised an eyebrow. "Oh, Isabella, do come in. To what do I owe this unexpected visit?" Isabella entered the lavish apartment, her gaze scanning the extravagant surroundings that now felt tainted by deception. "You lied to me, Evelyn. You used James, and you squandered your inheritance. How could you betray Grandpa's memory like this?" Evelyn, unfazed, replied with a smirk, "Oh, please, Isabella. Grandpa left you a crumbling house and me a paltry sum. I did what was necessary to maintain the lifestyle I deserve." Isabella, her patience waning, retorted, "Deserve? You deserve nothing after what you've done. I won't be a part of your deceit any longer. We're done, Evelyn." Evelyn laughed dismissively. "Done? You think cutting ties with me will magically fix your life, Isabella? you were always the naive one. Isabella, determined to stand her ground, responded, maybe I was naive, but I won't let your greed define me. I'm choosing a life of authenticity, not one built on illusions. As Isabella turned to leave, Evelyn's tone shifted to one of mock sincerity. Isabella, darling, you'll regret this. You'll see how empty your life becomes without me. Isabella, without looking back, uttered a final statement. My life will be richer without the toxic presence of someone who betrayed everything our family stood for. The door closed behind Isabella, severing the ties that had bound the sisters. The weight of the decision bore down on her, but amidst the pain, she felt a glimmer of liberation. The journey towards self-discovery demanded sacrifice, and Isabella, now freed from Evelyn's influence, set forth on a path that would redefine her understanding of true wealth. As Isabella walked away from the luxury apartment, the realization settled in. Sometimes cutting ties is the only way to heal, to rebuild, and to emerge stronger from the wreckage of betrayal. With the toxic ties severed, Isabella stood before the aging house that held both memories and mysteries. Chapter 7 marks the commencement of a new chapter in Isabella's life, a journey of self-discovery and transformation. As the morning sun painted the sky with hues of warmth, Isabella stood on the porch of her grandfather's house. The chirping birds and rustling leaves welcomed her to a day that held the promise of renewal. This is where it begins, Isabella whispered to herself, determination etched on her face. Inside the house, she rolled up her sleeves, ready to tackle the task of restoring it to its former glory. Dust motes danced in the sunlight as Isabella scrubbed away the neglect that had settled over the years. A voice interrupted her solitude. Brian, her longtime friend, entered with a hopeful smile. Isabella, I heard what happened. How are you holding up? Isabella, wiping her brow, replied, It's tough, but I need to move forward. This house is my starting point. Brian, surveying the room, remarked, It's a daunting task, but I'm here to help. Together, we can turn this into a home. As they worked side by side, the echoes of laughter and love began to replace the haunting silence. Isabella felt a sense of purpose, a connection to her roots that transcended material wealth. Days turned into weeks, and the house underwent a remarkable transformation. Isabella, surrounded by the echoes of her grandparents' love, began to understand the true meaning of inheritance. One evening, as they took a break on the porch, Brian asked, Isabella, what's your plan for this place? Are you going to sell it? Isabella, gazing at the land that stretched before her, responded, I haven't decided yet. But I know this house holds more than just memories. It's a piece of my history, my identity. Brian, nodding in understanding, said, It's a beautiful house, Isa. Your grandfather would be proud to see it come back to life. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Isabella felt a newfound strength within her. The house, once a burden, had become a sanctuary. The creaking floors and whispering winds spoke of resilience, of a family's endurance through the passage of time. In Chapter 7, Isabella began to forge a new identity, one not bound by the illusions of wealth, but enriched by the authenticity of her heritage. The house, now a symbol of her determination, stood as a testament to the beginning of a journey toward a life defined by purpose and genuine contentment. As Isabella's life began to find a new rhythm within the walls of her grandfather's house, Chapter 8 unravels the consequences of Evelyn's choices and sets the stage for a reckoning that would redefine the sisters' fates. News of Evelyn's extravagant lifestyle and financial downfall echoed through social circles, reaching Isabella's ears like a distant storm. The once mighty sister had fallen, and her recklessness had consequences that reverberated beyond her own life. One evening, as Isabella sat by the fireplace, the glow casting shadows on the walls, she received a call from an unknown number. Hesitant but curious, she answered. Isabella Grayson, this is Detective Miller. We need you to come down to the station. There's something you should know about your sister. The station's cold, harsh lighting illuminated Isabella's apprehension as Detective Miller briefed her on the startling revelations. Evelyn and James, desperate for money, had attempted to manipulate Isabella through a series of fraudulent activities. Detective Miller handed Isabella a folder containing evidence of the crimes, destruction of property, marriage fraud, and financial schemes. As Isabella leafed through the damning paperwork, a mix of shock and disbelief painted her expression. Back at her grandfather's house, Isabella wrestled with the weight of the information. The phone rang, and Brian's concerned voice filled the room. "Isabella, what happened at the station? Are you okay?" Isabella, her voice steadier than her emotions, replied, "Evelyn and James have been arrested. They were involved in illegal activities, and I've been dragged into their mess." Brian, sensing her distress, assured her, "We'll get through this together, Isa. You're not alone." The courtroom became the stage for the reckoning. Isabella, a reluctant witness, faced her sister and the man who had betrayed her. As Evelyn's actions were laid bare, the reality of the choices they had made became inescapable. Evelyn, once defiant, now wore a mask of regret as the consequences of her actions unfolded. Isabella, looking at her sister with a mix of empathy and disappointment, realized that the path to redemption was a steep climb for Evelyn. During a brief recess, Brian whispered, "Isabella, this isn't your fault. They made their choices, and now they have to face the consequences." Isabella, gazing at the courtroom drama unfolding, replied, "I know, Brian, but it's still painful to see our family, our legacy, tarnished by their greed." As the gavel fell, Evelyn and James were led away in handcuffs, their reckoning a testament to the fragility of illusions and the enduring strength of truth. Isabella, though scared by the experience, felt a sense of closure. The reckoning had come, and in its aftermath, she was determined to continue forging a life of authenticity and purpose. Chapter 8 marked the turning point in the sisters' destinies, where choices, consequences, and the pursuit of genuine wealth collided in a courtroom drama that would leave lasting imprints on their lives. As Isabella navigated the aftermath of Evelyn's arrest, Chapter 9 delves into the intricate web of manipulation that had ensnared the lives of the once close sisters, ultimately leading to a dramatic downfall. The courtroom proceedings unfolded, casting a harsh light on the extent of Evelyn and James' deceit. Isabella, compelled to testify, faced questioning from the prosecution. Her measured responses painted a picture of a sisterhood shattered by greed and betrayal. During a recess, Isabella found herself outside the courtroom, the weight of the revelations settling on her shoulders. Brian, standing by her side, offered a comforting presence. "Isabella, this is tough, but you're doing the right thing. They need to be held accountable for what they've done." Isabella nodded, her eyes fixed on the courtroom door. "It's just hard to believe that it came to this. Our family, our legacy, tarnished." Inside the courtroom, the prosecution presented evidence of manipulation and fraud. The intricate schemes designed to exploit Isabella's vulnerability came to light, revealing a level of deceit that even Isabella had failed to fully comprehend. As Evelyn took the stand, her attempts at shifting blame became apparent. The prosecutor, a stern figure with a relentless pursuit of justice, dissected Evelyn's actions with precision. "I did what I had to do for a better life," Evelyn claimed, her voice a mix of defiance and desperation. The prosecutor, unyielding, responded, "Your pursuit of a better life involved destroying others. Your actions have consequences, Ms. Grayson." In the gallery, Isabella watched as the unraveling of Evelyn's illusions continued. The courtroom became a stage for the exposure of manipulation, and Isabella felt a strange blend of sympathy and disappointment for the sister who had once been her closest confidant. The trial reached its climax when the judge delivered the verdict. Guilty on multiple charges, Evelyn and James faced the consequences of their actions. Isabella, though relieved to see justice served, couldn't shake the sorrow that lingered. Brian, sensing her conflicted emotions, whispered, "It's over, Isabella. Now you can move forward without the shadow of their manipulation." As Evelyn and James were led away, their faces a mix of regret and defiance, Isabella pondered the intricate dance of manipulation that had brought them to this point. The downfall, swift and dramatic, had laid bare the consequences of a life built on deceit. Chapter 9 left Isabella standing at the crossroads, her sister's downfall a stark reminder of the importance of authenticity and the pitfalls of manipulation. The echoes of the courtroom drama would resonate in the chapters to come as Isabella continued her journey toward rebuilding a life free from the shadows of betrayal. In the aftermath of the trial, Chapter 10 opens with Isabella grappling with the emotional fallout of witnessing her sister's dramatic downfall. The echoes of the courtroom drama reverberate as Isabella contemplates the fractured bonds of family. The courtroom buzzed with anticipation as the judge prepared to deliver the final verdict. Isabella, seated among the spectators, felt a mix of emotions, relief, sorrow, and an undeniable sense of closure. The judge's voice echoed through the room, declaring Evelyn and James guilty on multiple charges. Isabella's gaze remained fixed on her sister, who stood with a stoic facade that barely concealed the turmoil within. Brian, sensing Isabella's internal struggle, whispered, "It's over, Isa." They got what they deserved. Isabella, torn between justice and familial ties, nodded silently. The gallery emptied, leaving her alone with the weight of the truth. As she exited the courtroom, the reality of witnessing her sister's fall began to sink in. Outside the courthouse, Isabella found herself face to face with Evelyn, shackled and escorted by law enforcement. The air crackled with tension as their eyes met, the unspoken language of sisterhood hanging heavy. Evelyn, her voice laced with bitterness, muttered, "Enjoy your victory, Isabella. But remember, you're not innocent in all of this." Isabella, maintaining her composure, replied, "I didn't create this mess, Evelyn. You did." As they parted ways, Isabella couldn't escape the heaviness in her heart. Brian, standing by her side, attempted to offer solace. "Isabella, you did what you had to do. This was about justice." Isabella, her eyes fixed on the departing police car, whispered, "I know, Brian, but it doesn't make it any easier." Days turned into nights as Isabella grappled with the aftermath. The media coverage painted Evelyn's downfall as a cautionary tale of greed and manipulation, further isolating Isabella from the sister she had once been so close to. One evening, as Isabella sat on the porch of her grandfather's house, the phone rang. It was a call from a journalist seeking her perspective on the trial. Isabella, hesitant but determined to set the record straight, agreed to share her side of the story. As she spoke to the journalist, Isabella found a semblance of closure in reclaiming her narrative. The fall of her sister served as a catalyst for Isabella to redefine her own path and rebuild from the ashes of betrayal. Chapter 10 concluded with Isabella standing on the porch, gazing at the stars overhead. The fall of Evelyn, though painful, marked the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. The journey toward healing, self-discovery, and genuine wealth would continue, untethered from the shadows of manipulation that had once clouded her family's legacy.